Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers. If you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now, on with the show.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the SMG Blacklist podcast. I'm one of your hosts, number 23 on the list, Jack Wengroski, and with me is...
Number 13, Melissa Maxey.
Hey, Melissa. We are here to talk about Luther Braxton, which is part 2 from actually last Monday, and the Super Bowl episode apparently just exploded. It was huge. They got unprecedented numbers for that episode, and today, Thursday, we had the continuation.
It was awesome. Okay, so explosions.
So, yeah. Here's the first one. Today, actually, actually, it was yesterday. Actually, we're recording the day after. But today is February 7th. And what is significant for February 7th?
It's James Spader's birthday.
He turned... Yes! Friday, it's Friday. Wait, what is today? Today's Saturday.
Saturday!
I'm all confused. So today is February 7th. He was born 55 years ago today. So we wanted to do a special shout out for James.
Happy birthday!
And this just went huge. All the attention that came after the Super Bowl was big. Spader kind of made an allusion to the fact that he just really didn't know the significance, but I think we all do now because the ratings were just spiked.
They beat out Scandal for the Thursday lineup. They beat them out of it. They were the number one show being watched on TV Thursday night.
Yeah, that just carried over. So now the Blacklist is on Thursday nights at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. And what time on Mountain?
It's 9 Mountain Time, I guess.
All right. Sounds like you're rustling some papers there. Are you arranging your desk there as we speak?
Yeah, no.
So we've got Luther Braxton, number 2. So the
21.
You're right.
Luther Braxton, number 21.
Boy, there's going to be all sorts of editing, I think. So we leave the last episode, and just as Liz has been commanded by Red to go ahead and shoot Luther, the missile strike from the director comes in, blows everybody up to smithereens. Of course, I don't think that many people died.
I don't know. All I know is that when, the first thing we see is Samar's hanging from the beam that, came down, like wrestlers on the floor, but she's still hanging in the sky, and so she's choking to death.
Yeah, that was like pins and needles time.
That was great filming the action scenes at that point because it shows wrestler, he gets himself unhooked from his chain and then, he gets in a fight. Someone's there and he ends up having to fight someone. And then it's all he can do to get to Samar to get her unhooked and get her, off the beam. And he ended up having to climb on the beam to tip it so that she would be able to stand up, and she still couldn't stand up. So
yeah, that was putting me on edge. I was like, how are they going to do this? They've got to save Samar. But then I'm just sitting here talking about thinking everybody that we were looking at. I think 9 out of 10 people lived through that strike that was supposed to kill everybody. Yeah,
It was very strategic, and I have my finger quotes up. Strategic.
I thought it was a well-planned attempt at strategery.
So Reddington, he gets up and is looking around for Liz, and he sees that guy on the ground, and he grabs his phone, which I was like, yes. He grabs a phone, he grabs a walkie-talkie just at the point when Wrestler and Samar show up.
Right.
And they start talking about how they're going to get off because basically the factory is sinking and they're going to die. So, Red, he's like a genius, comes up with a way to boost the signal so that they can get an SOS out.
Right. So they get saved. One of the things was with this whole prison, and it was super dark so that nobody knew of its existence, which is why the director...
Yeah, they said it was a level 10 detention facility.
Yeah.
And nobody knew about it.
Right. So that made it easy to do the strike because nobody can complain about something being taken out that wasn't really there in the first place. But I forgot it was on an oil rig. I started to think.
Oh.
Yeah, it was. It
reminded me of the X-Files.
Mm-hmm.
Because Mulder ended up being on an oil rig again, and it blew up too.
Yeah, coincidence? I don't know.
Maybe not.
maybe Mulder was on the oil rig.
Were there any aliens? The black oil?
I'm doing the Dr. Evil pinky to the lip thing right now. I did not go to evil medical school for 7 years to drown on an oil platform.
I like how, Wrestler asks, he's asking about Liz and trying to find out where she's at, and Red tells him that Braxton took her, and Wrestler's like, well, why did Braxton take her? And he didn't say anything. Like,
no.
He shut him, he totally didn't even, he just totally went into silent mode, and I was like, Wrestler, I hope you're picking up on these little, hints.
Well,
that something's going on.
Right. Well, we do know, and we know, and now Harry Lennox knows, Agent Cooper, Director Cooper, and I wonder if they're going to forget about that little thing, because right now it's all about this thing called the Fulcrum, which is, I think, some sort of chip that has all this evidence that can take this this super secret group down that that Red was supposed to have. And turns out Red didn't have it. It was stored at this other facility, which it was really funny. Like, if it was truly buried that deep, I think the secret group should have known it was there. But I guess
they? Because let's get to that a little bit later.
I don't know. Well, let's talk about...
Okay, so Braxton takes Liz, and he's got her in a medical chopper, so he takes her, they fly to Juneau, because, they...
Did you just say Juneau,
Yeah, I did.
You're a poet.
Juneau, And nobody's tracking them because it's a medical chopper. So he gets her, back to the States, and he wants that memory that she has in her head. And so he starts doing his little torture sessions on her, waterboarding and stuff like that.
Right, and of course, they find out she doesn't actually have any memory. So he tells Braxton, look, I can't go any farther. And Braxton, who was an Army vet, had some really dark things happen to him in combat. So they send him to this doctor who's discovered a gene, and she's come up with this gene therapy system to eliminate memories. So, of course, Braxton comes up with well, if you can eliminate memories, then maybe you can find suppressed memories.
Yeah, Dr. Selma Orchard, that's her name, the doctor. So he goes on the hunt looking for her and goes and finds her at her house and kidnaps her son and takes her back to his lair / swimming pool.
Back to my underground. I don't know why this episode has me thinking of Dr. Evil so much.
It does, a little bit.
All they needed is like a hairless cat after. So he gets the doctor. Of course, he's Luther Braxton. To get her to do what he wants her to do, he kidnaps her son. And I was almost kind of thinking, well, if you already have her kidnapped, you could just threaten to kill her. But I guess if she got all sacrificial, and I guess that eliminates the possibility. So maybe I'm just making a fussy.
In the meantime, Red is on the hunt for Liz and is doing his own thing. After they, get back, are heading back to the mainland, or they get back to the mainland, and he tells Samar to start looking for people with psychological backgrounds that are connected to Braxton, because he knows that they're trying to get the memory. And
right.
So he starts getting in contact with Braxton's, people that he's been in contact with, and he pretty much threatens them. He's like, give me the information and you'll get to live. You're gonna die anyway.
And of course, Aram is very concerned about Samar.
Yeah, there was a little hugging scene.
Yeah.
Long extended hugging scene.
A little awkward.
Little wrestler and Cooper awkwardness.
Yeah. They're like sitting there watching it, so Aram tries to cover it by giving wrestler a hug too. It's like, yeah. I think I tweeted, or I was going to tweet something about the awkward hug.
You should have.
Yeah. Boy, speaking of Twitter, that was firing off left and right, wasn't it?
Oh, Twitter's been amazing. We've added 100 followers in the last week.
Yeah. So don't forget to follow us on Twitter at we'll announce it at the end, but it's at BlacklistPod.
So let's talk about the memories. Let's talk about Liz's regression therapy.
Yeah, they really. as she gives
reference.
the evil laugh of.
That was a little X-Files reference.
I just like the therapy. Little evil laugh there. So they go back, and the doctor administers the drug, and of course, then Liz wakes up in the house before the fire. And she's sitting there with the little girl, which is herself. That was kind of
I watched the episode 4 times.
What?
I did.
That's dedication.
I did. I was like, this was a fabulous episode. So I wanted to watch the memory scenes really close, because a lot of stuff happens, and some of it's made up stuff, some of it's going to be real stuff. And so I just wanted to know what everything was. And so I noticed that the little girl got shoved into this closet by a man, and He was wearing a class ring. Did you notice that? He was wearing a ring. It was a ruby ring on his right hand.
Okay.
And it looked like a class ring. Like some sort of I don't know I don't know what happens in the Navy if you get some sort of ring.
Well, if you were Red and you were an up and coming commander fixing to become an admiral, and you've gone through the Naval Academy, yes, you get a military ring.
Okay, so there was a ring, and he puts her in the closet, and he tells her, and she's got this live bunny in her lap, a live bunny. It's a white rabbit.
Right.
And he puts her in the closet, and he tells her to stay there, and he says, don't come out until he gets her.
Right.
He says, don't come out. And so Liz is sitting next to her, right? And so I listened really close, because the man and a woman outside the door argued. They're arguing. And I listened close, and the lady is screaming and arguing with the man about where is Masha. And Masha is a name that was given to Liz, like a nickname or something, but it's Russian. It's a Russian name.
Ah.
And so Liz actually asked the little girl, who's Masha? And the little girl turns to her and says, it's you. And so that was interesting tidbit, the Masha name.
Right. Wow. They wouldn't have done a switcheroo with that other girl in Berlin, would they?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think they would have done that.
I don't think so. But the Russian name is significant, and the man with the ring, that was significant too.
Yeah, that's a good. That's a really good point.
At this point in the closet, the people are arguing, and then all of a sudden, Liz is asking little Liz kind of what they're arguing about, and all of a sudden the White Rabbit gets up off the girl's lap and runs off. It's like an Alice in Wonderland trip where they're chasing the White Rabbit. And They go and they're in the Christmas trees and there's Christmas carols and it's all happy. And I was like, okay, that's weird. I thought that was weird. I'm like, that's a piece that's either been implanted, obviously it's been implanted, like an implanted memory of some sort.
Well, let me kind of back you up on there. Actually, what happened, and the doctor explained this, that when she told her about, while she was, did she tell her, she was explaining to the medical tech that Braxton had brought with him, that it's like, what's going on, or maybe no, she tells her, yeah, and says, okay, well, what happened when you had your brain had replaced a good memory with a bad one, because the rabbit runs away. No, she replaced a good memory with the bad one.
Right.
And so what happened was her brain can't. At the time she said it can't handle it, and there's some more information we get about that later on. And her brain has made this little interlude so that Liz can't go back to the room and face what's happening.
Yes.
And so this starts to mount some evidence that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But so now the doctor has said, you know what, she's about to have a heart attack. I've got to bring her out. Braxton is furious, but she says, look, I can't tell you what's going to happen in her memories if she's dead. So she brings her out, kind of explains some of the process and what she's seeing, and I can't do, she's just going to die if I do this. And of course, what does Liz do? She says, you know what? I need to do this. These are the things I'm trying to remember. This isn't for them. You've got to do this for me. So then the doctor goes back.
Yeah, and so Liz goes back, and they're back at that same place where the rabbit takes off, and Lizzie is asking the girl what happened, what's happening, and the girl's like, don't go out there, don't go out there, and Liz leaves the closet, and she starts heading down the hallway, trying to look and to see what's happening.
Right, and the little girl's screaming at her.
Yeah, the little girl, like pops in front of her and tells her to go back. Like, do not go any further, do not go past this point, this is dangerous right here. And then the girl runs off screaming because something happens. Right.
And, yeah, her kind of inner memory, her subconscious, just can't handle it. And so that part has to go away. And around this time, Red starts to storm the compound where they're at because let's talk about how he got there.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
That was awesome. All the people that have worked with Braxton at all, he gets them all in a room and basically says, look, I'm looking for Braxton. You were going to tell me when he calls you, and, here's my contact number. Thank you. And, what's in it for us? Life. And it was before
perfect.
I said it 2 seconds before because I knew that's what Spader was going to say. We've been watching this too long because that was the perfect Spader thing.
Yeah, it was.
Life. Didn't even explain it. Your right to live or some comment. He just life and left.
Well, I thought it was interesting as the guy that came up with the information was the same guy that asked the question.
Oh, right.
He was the one that Red, he has some information, and Red goes and meets him, and he's like, okay, you better tell me what it is, or I'm gonna kill you.
Right.
And the guy's like, you're gonna have to pay me, because he's like, they ended up having to wire money to the guy's account.
Right. And of course, Red has already said, look, time is of the essence, we really gotta move this along. And so Red just gets madder and madder. And we know this guy is a smart aleck.
Yeah.
It's already been established. He's not going to be pushed around without without a fight. He's got information Red wants, and so they wire some money to his account, and then what happens?
Red pounds him.
Oh, yeah.
Like 6 or 8 times. I was like, oh my god, that was awesome.
Right in the face. Oh, Twitter lit up like a Christmas tree. One of them just said flat out, "Don't piss off Red."
I know.
And then the next tweets start going back to Liz. It's like one girl says, "You know what? We're not going to find out about her father. I don't know if I care anymore." And everybody's just like, "No,
everybody's
need to know."
Jumping ship.
Yeah. It was like, "No, don't do this. We need to know." And we got so close. So she actually sees her father.
Yeah, she screams out that she sees him there.
Yeah, but I don't think she got a face. She just knew her father was there. And so Red storms the compound. He sees Lizzie in the chair, strapped down. So he
unstraps her. And he starts asking about, what's happening. He asks the doctor what's going on with her. This is like, these moments, we're still talking about this on Twitter and on Instagram, about the moment where Red is with Liz, and she's still under, and how careful he is with her, and how he's, unbinding her, and he's just making sure that she's okay, that there's nothing wrong with her, there's nothing going to happen to her, and he asks the doctor to proceed if everything is okay, because Liz wants to know. And
Liz wants to know, and he wants to get that fulcrum, because if he gets the fulcrum, it's not they make it seem like, oh, he's a bad man for wanting the fulcrum. It's the only way this group is going to let him live.
Yes.
If he gets it. So it's not all, poor, old selfish Red just trying. He doesn't care about her at all. He just wants to get this stupid fulcrum. Yeah, he does, because if he wants any more time with Lizzie, he needs to own that. And so then Wrestler and some others come in, and he's just about to find out, and they're thinking, oh, Red is taking advantage.
So what I noticed in my third and fourth take of the episode about this part in the therapy,
right,
is this is the part with the fire. So first of all, before the fire, when Liz is trying to find out information, I hear a gunshot. Somebody gets killed.
Right.
And then the fire starts. And then the man comes for Lizzie, and he's wearing gloves this time. He's wearing gloves.
Right.
And he pulls her out of the closet and starts dragging her through the fire. And this is when we, all the memories that they've showed us for the last year and a half about her and the fire we start seeing these visions. And we also see that the rabbit that used to be a live white rabbit is now the stuffed rabbit.
And what about
the
burn? So she starts looking at the fresh burn that's on her arm that she says, "My dad gave this to me."
Yeah, and something happened. He got knocked out and was on the floor.
All right, so now she thinks her dad is dead.
Yes.
And the reveal that she has figured out that Red was in that room at the time.
Yes, she says that she saw him there. But she might have... This is the part where I'm having a little bit of trouble, because he was talking to her while she was under, and he actually was implanted into her memory.
Right.
Instead of the girl trying to stop her from seeing what was happening, it was Red.
Yes. Standing
there. So she could have mixed up the memory. But he also was there, because, he admits that he was there.
Right.
He admits to her that he was.
And there's a later scene where the doctor comes back and says, these aren't all necessarily true memories.
Yeah, because she says that the memory was tampered with by someone else when she was little.
Well, that's huge. Let's go to that. See, somebody has repressed these memories, which is why Lizzie has been having a hard time. And the fact, the doctor's telling her, the fact that you saw Red there, and it may not be that your father being killed is what you saw. Not at all.
Well, yeah, because when she confronts Red and says, she's like, you came into my life, and, you were in my life then, and you're in my life now. And she's like, the only reason that you were here, part of my life didn't have anything to do with me or the connection that we have. She said it had to do with this object that you want to find. And the look on Reddington's face was a pure horror. I mean, I'm seriously so emotional about this part because it was like like a scene with a father and daughter where she's just like, you didn't want me.
Right, or you never loved me.
Or you didn't love me. And he was just horrified.
Yeah.
I mean, completely, like, I thought, and then when she went to get up out of the chair, and he tried to help her, and she said, don't touch me. She just throws him off, and it shocked him. And it shocked, the audience was just, like, we're still talking about it on Twitter and Instagram, about, just the shock and the horror of, the scene of Liz thinking that he doesn't love her, or he doesn't care about her, that it's only about the fulcrum. And it's not only about the fulcrum.
But we know that's temporary because, and I tweeted this and said she's not going to talk to him about the first 15 minutes of the next episode. And I didn't want to like nullify the emotion of the moment, but we've gone through this 3 or 4 or 5 times where she's come to this conclusion that Red is all about Red a few times, yet he's still there. He's protecting her. He's come through for her numerous times. And yes, if it wasn't for the fulcrum, the whole TV series wouldn't exist. So
the other thing about the memory was there were other people there. And she mentions that. She's like, there were 2 men and a woman. And she thought that Red had brought them there to find the fulcrum.
Right.
And he was like, well, it's not all about what you think it is. It's not what you think. And he was trying to explain it to her in a way to make her understand. And she was just like convinced that she had left her dying father on the floor because of Red and his group that had come to find the fulcrum.
Right.
And so you actually see someone on the floor. And I blew it up because I was taking pictures and I'm blowing it up on my screen and I fixed it. And you can tell the man on the floor is Reddington. You can. There's no denying it.
Really?
The man on the floor is Reddington.
So what does that mean exactly? Does that mean Reddington is her father?
I don't know.
Or
he has gloves on, and the guy that pulled her from the closet has gloves.
Or is a friend of the father's, he was trying to protect the fulcrum and wound up saving Lizzie. And, well, I think what happened is he chose Lizzie to save Lizzie over the fulcrum. And that's the only explanation. That just came into my little pea brain.
The other thing that I thought about was the person that got shot could have been the woman, and it could have been her mother. Like the thing that she wasn't supposed to see. Like, my theory is that it was her mother was killed.
Right.
That her mother was killed, and Lizzie saw it. And the bunny. The bunny is very big here.
Well, yeah,
Let's talk about this, because I really want to expose this part.
Well, and of course, anybody that's seen the show knows what we're about to talk about, but that's the one thing she's carried through her entire life is this stuffed bunny rabbit. And of course, psychologically, we should have probably made that connection in about the first 5 minutes. I thought, oh man, it's not a stuffed bunny. She had a real bunny, and she's just like carrying this.
I knew that the real bunny was an implant. I knew that it was the stuffed bunny. When I saw the real bunny, I was like, it's the stuffed bunny. She just mixed it up in her head.
Because it was super cute.
It was super cute.
Yeah, that's production factor right there. It's like the cat playing the piano. If you want 1 million downloads, you put a really cute cat playing a super silly tune. You want to get everybody's heartstrings, you show little Lizzie with a real rabbit. A real bunny. Like, Easter's on its way.
It made me think of that episode where Reddington was in the jail and he was talking about his family that was killed what was that lady's name? He was trying to get information from her and he was using her and he got himself captured, right? And he was talking about how there was so much blood and how it was like the most awful thing that he'd ever been through. And that was probably this moment when if Lizzie's mother got killed and there was blood everywhere, it was probably that moment.
So if you knew that you gave up the fulcrum to save Lizzie, what kind of emotion would you have on your face when that same girl said, it's all about the fulcrum and not me?
Well, there's another thing, though, because he doesn't know where the fulcrum is. He may have had it at one time, but I think that Lizzie's mom, this is my theory, I think that Lizzie's mom found it and hid it in the bunny. Because that's what they were arguing about. He was like, where's the fulcrum? And she's like, well, where's Masha? And he's like, well, he's like, I need this. This is information that is going to keep us alive. That's what he said.
What if Masha is the name of the bunny?
What if Masha is a code name for something that's on the on the fulcrum?
I think Masha is the name of the rabbit. I really think Masha is. Where's Masha? Because they know.
No, because Little Liz told Big Liz that Masha was her. Masha was.
Oh, was
Liz.
her? So,
yes.
Oh, that's right. You're right. But yeah, it wouldn't be the rabbit, so they couldn't go there. But my theory is that Red went to the house to get the fulcrum. All this stuff happened. But my point being was not that he knows where the fulcrum is, but that he went there to get it, and he chose to save Lizzie and put her in that little closet so that she would be saved, rather than do the fighting out over how to get it. So now The question is, was it the mom that who put it in the rabbit?
Yeah, who put it in the rabbit?
But yeah, the thing we haven't said is the fulcrum is in the rabbit.
I know. The fulcrum is in the rabbit. So we see Liz, she's reminiscing about the memories and going through all of her box of stuff that she has left, all the stuff that she has left.
Right.
And it's a couple pictures and the bunny rabbit, and she finds it. So when she pulls it out of the rabbit, I stopped my TV so I could take pictures of it, and it's so fuzzy, I can't see it very well, but it looks like a little tiny music box, and when she opens it, it's got, is it like I don't know, people are talking about it being maybe a data recorder or something from the 90s. I'm like, well, I don't know what that looks like.
Well, I know what DAT tapes were. They were like small cassettes, but they weren't that small. No,
and this wasn't a cassette, because you can see, it looks like a transmitter inside. Like, it's got, pieces like a computer. Little tiny.
I think it's their kind of effort to kind of recreate what a USB stick would look like 30 years before USB sticks.
Yeah, probably.
So it's probably kind of like a transistor-based USB data stick.
So I see the next episode with Liz and Aram in some little cubbyhole, and she's like, "Get the stuff off this right now."
I don't know, because if Aram sees that, I don't think you can let Aram live. He's the only one that she's going to be able to trust to get that information off. There's going to be nobody else but him. And that is going to put him in a dangerous position. It is. And how do you rectify the fact that if Red doesn't get that fulcrum, he's got no reason to be kept alive? So
right.
My theory, again, is this has to get back to Red in such a way that Lizzie is comfortable giving it to him, either because the group,
she wants to save his life.
Right, which maybe means the group finally takes him. They're seconds from killing him. They'll torture him, they'll beat him up, they'll make an example of him, and then just about the time, they'll send a message that here's this information that could only be from the fulcrum, let my Red go.
Well, she is his little princess.
It is. Boy, that was a little revelation from Braxton.
Yeah. Speaking of Braxton,
yes.
We didn't talk about him meeting with the director.
Oh, right.
We totally skipped over the part where before Red storms the compound, he tracks Braxton down to this church, and he's meeting with the director, and Braxton's been working with the director to get the fulcrum back.
Right.
And so when Braxton comes out of the church, you see someone kind of shadowing him, and then he comes around the corner, and there's Red in front of him, and then all of a sudden Dembe's right behind him. So, and Reddington's like, your driver? He's in the trunk.
And we got to see Dembe again.
Oh, Dembe.
we haven't had any Dembe in quite a while, so it was refreshing to see him back.
That whole scene with Reddington and Braxton where he's talking about, savoring being able to tell him, I told you so. Right.
Actually, I thought it was a little anticlimactic, almost like they had this multiple build-up with Berlin, and in the end, he just sat his butt down in a chair, shared a bottle of vodka and some memories of the good old times, and then just shot him multiple times.
Well, you can imagine that Braxton was in the trunk next, right?
Yeah. So,
because later, when the director comes home, right?
Right.
So where's Braxton?
He's like sitting there with a noose around his neck, hanging in the living room, and the director is going, you have no idea who I am. It's like, I know exactly who you are. And if you don't think I have the fulcrum, go ahead and test me. Of course,
call my bluff.
Right. And I think, I don't know. I don't know if that was effective. I think it's a race to the fulcrum. I don't think,
Reddington doesn't have the fulcrum.
Well, but Reddington doesn't, but he doesn't want the director to know that. And I think the director is pretty confident that Red doesn't have it. So he called a bluff move and tells the director, maybe I do, maybe I don't, but go ahead and do something to me and we'll go ahead and find out.
He's begging him, please call my bluff.
And, the testament to that guy being so powerful is the fact that Red didn't kill him, because Red had him dead to rights. It's like, look, you tried to kill me. I think if he could have made a case to the other group, the rest of the members, that he came after me. This is what happens if you come after me. But I do think that the fact that the director does have that power really saved his life.
Yes.
Because, as much as Red had him dead to rights, he left him alone, tried to scare him, and walked out. But I thought it was so funny that the director's sitting there trying to do some leverage. But he doesn't have near the power that Alan Alda did in that character, because you just really got the feeling that if Alan Alda moved his pinky, Red would just be dead.
Yeah, that's what that's a good call, because, Alan Alda's character, Fitch, was it was really powerful.
It was. And you just felt that. I don't feel that same amount of power from this guy. He just seems, he talks too much.
Yeah.
But that's part of I think that's part of the dynamic, because obviously...
It's not really about him, though. It's more about the group itself.
Right.
The group of people that are left.
And that group doesn't have the likes of Fitch anymore, and I think that's really what's going to hurt them, because
because Reddington has more power. I mean, he's more powerful. Even though he doesn't have anything, he's still more powerful.
And what's going to happen when all this kind of comes out and finds out? I think what we're going to find out is the group did this to Red's family. And I think,
absolutely.
I think some of what's in there is going to come out, and that group...
I can't wait for that.
Oh, yeah.
The unveiling of all of the... Because there's still stuff that happened in the fire that, we still don't know about. And everybody's, speculating, who is the person on the floor? And who are the people that left? And...
Right. 2 years. I've been waiting 2 years.
Well...
I did feel sorry for a lot of those people, because they were very disappointed. Everybody thought for sure that we were going to get all of Lizzie's memories, and now they're telling us, yeah, you're not going to get those for, maybe not this time, maybe next time, but we'll see.
Well, there's some cool stuff coming up in the next episodes. A big announcement that was made just within the last couple of days is that the next episode, it's called Ruslan Denisov. He's number 67 on the list. Is directed by Andrew McCarthy. So we're gonna have a little bit of Pretty in Pink kind of like reunion status going on. Everybody's like, "Oh my gosh!" Everybody's freaking out. And so, even though they don't meet on screen, so I think that, they're going to be bringing on some high profile actors, to fill, to be in these positions of the next people on the list. And I think that's what's so entertaining about the show is it's different. In the list, like the numbers, we've talked about this before, they're not in order.
Right.
They're like all over the place, and all of these different characters that bring, the story together and let us know, give us more information.
Right. So it looks like we're going to find out that some of these are false memories. We're going to find out that what Liz, I think, has the fulcrum or something directly. It has to be the fulcrum. There wouldn't really be much use for anything else. And what was the other is we haven't heard about Fitch's secret safe.
Yeah, the secret safe. We haven't addressed that.
Yeah, and that was when Fitch was fixing to die with that bomb collar that he had on his neck from a couple episodes ago. Fitch knew that Red was in trouble with the other group, so he says, "You've got to go to this secret safe that I have and get this." And I think Red's going to get that. It's going to have some useful information, but I think the majority of it is going to be about the fulcrum. But I would venture to bet that the next episode is going to be something at St. Petersburg. And what were you saying that Russian name was? Masha?
Yeah, Masha.
So I wouldn't be surprised if something kind of happened while they're in St. Petersburg, if they find out something about what Masha is.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of takes us to next week. And next week, doesn't Red get kidnapped again?
I don't know. What does happen next week? I've seen pictures, but I haven't read the synopsis of what's going to happen. So what's going to happen?
Boy, that's a good question.
It's the Ruslan Denisov they call him the Deer Hunter, is that right?
Yes.
Is that the nickname? The Deer Hunter?
Yes.
And he, they show pictures of him, mutilating himself, with, the straps on the back, the leather straps.
Flagellation? Is that something like that?
Yeah. And,
it's, what flagellants did was back in medieval times that they believed these were religious zealots that would whip their back as punishment for their sins, and it was self-induced punishment for sinning against God. So there'll be some sort of tie with that. And I think the Deer Hunter had a reference to the old movie where all these guys come back from Vietnam, and of course the main character is almost immediately involved in this Russian roulette game.
Okay.
So that might be kind of this guy's MO. If you get through the Russian roulette type game, it may not be directly with a revolver, but you've got a chance to live, maybe.
Okay. Because Red warns Liz about him, because when he's explaining who he is.
Right.
And it seems like Liz is a little standoffish from Red for part of the episode, so we'll see how that goes.
Because she won't talk to him for the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, and then she'll be like, at the end of the episode, hopefully they'll have some sort of reconciliation like they always do.
Yeah. So, I guess, is there anything else? Do you have anything else on your list? Oh!
We didn't talk about we need to talk about, the director, because he finds out some information from his doctor about him being sick.
Oh, right. Yeah, they go to this scene, and Cooper and his wife are holding hands and looking somber, and you see a little silhouette of the doctor and concerned look on their faces. So it could go either way. Either he's just got the bad news, he's not going to make it, which would be very sad.
Yes.
I do not want to lose Agent Cooper.
I don't want to lose Agent Cooper.
He's fits so well in that role, and you really believe that he's ahead of a CIA group, and has that that mentality where he can go from the higher ups, back down to running a whole agency and dealing with the political aspect. I think it's really good. I hope they don't make the mistake of eliminating his character for a 5-minute drama payoff. But
no, I don't think they will, but they may drag that out a little bit more.
I think they will. I think the reason that they saw the silhouette is that the news is most likely bad, but, we might be able to do something. If there wasn't a chance, if we knew for sure that Cooper is dying and Harry Lennox's character is not coming back, I think we would have got some text. I think we would have got something with the doctor saying, I would like you to pay my bill in advance, if you at all possible.
Right.
But, so we got, let's see. So we've got the recap, and we've got the Harry Lennox, the memories, the fulcrum, and of course the precious bunny rabbit. Is there anything else?
No, I think that's it.
I think our list about the blacklist is about done.
That's right.
All right, so this was the SMG Blacklist podcast with myself and Melissa. I'd encourage you to go to www.southgatemediagroup.com, click on our links. Please become a sponsor. You can donate from $1 all the way up to $100. And we have a Twitter account, which is @BlacklistPod. I'm at J. Wengroski, WENGROSKY. And Melissa, you're at?
At MSMaxey, MSMAXEY. And join us on Instagram for under the Blacklist Pod. We're always talking about the episodes and what's going on. And join us on our Twitter account. We have such a good time. We had a therapy session after the last episode with a couple of people on Twitter, and it was pretty fabulous.
Yeah, that was great. The interaction was just crazy. It was just lighting up all the way. I had a really good time. Well, that's all the info, I guess. Until next time.
See you then.